Well, I appreciate everybody has questions and understand you have questions about the ongoing investigation, and I'll share a few thoughts, but I really can't answer questions because I don't have a lot of information. First, I don't have a lot of the facts, and second, as you know, it's an ongoing investigation. Here's what I know. Thursday, Jack Swarbrick alerted to me that there was a investigation into academic improprieties. I was called to his office, and in his office was also Mary Ann Corr, our general counsel, and he instructed me, or he informed me at that time of the investigation that is, as you know, still ongoing. And again, I want to point out of potential academic issues, because as you know, the four young men have been suspended for games and practices, but this is an ongoing process. Nevertheless, I was informed from Jack, and then obviously for me, my emotions were shock and disappointment at the time, but anything that I could do to help Jack in that situation. Certainly, as you know, the football coach is not going to be involved in any investigation as it relates to this academic matter. I'll be just like you. I'll be on the outside looking in as it relates to this ongoing process. We have high standards, and I've said this before, when we were dealing with another situation relative to the honor code violation. It's a privilege to play at Notre Dame. It's not a right. And we hold our players to a very high standard here at Notre Dame. And I believe Notre Dame to be vigilant on that end. We don't say one thing and do the other. And I'm proud of Notre Dame and the way that they act. We don't look the other way. If we find improprieties as it relates to this matter, we're going to address them and deal with them. In our locker room, we have a very simple covenant. Treat women with respect. Don't cheat, don't lie, and don't steal. And our players see that every single day when they walk into our locker room. It's been on that wall since I took this job. And those standards haven't changed and will never change. I've had them for 24 years as a head football coach. So I know the environment that we create here, and our players do. They know the standards. So I care deeply about the four young men. I feel for Kavari and Ishak and Kendall, and I feel for all of those guys that are the four guys. Who am I missing? DeVaris. Obviously, I care for those four guys deeply. They've been part of our program. But I got a job to do, and I have another 100 players that I have to be concerned with. And my focus and attention is on getting our players and continue to develop our players on a day-to-day basis, and creating the right environment for our guys to continue to live and learn and make good decisions. So, again, I don't have a lot of facts. I was just alerted to the situation on Thursday by Jack. Those are really the only facts I have. I don't have any of the information. I would defer to what you picked up in the press conference yesterday as having more information than I do. I could tell you what we do in our program on a day-to-day basis relative to what we talk about. Look, there are no shortcuts in what we do. You can't win taking shortcuts. So our attention to detail is what we talk about all the time. So again, I feel for the four guys that are going through this process, and we wish them the best. But my focus and attention has to be on the football team right at this time. So again, those are my thoughts regarding this situation. I really can only talk about those, and really now it's about football matters. Preparing for not having, 4 players on our team that we were counting on against Rice. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Brian, have you talked to any of the 4 players individually since yesterday?
I have not. I plan to do that here either today or in the next 24 hours.
Do you have any sort of timeline of when you will or won't be cleared in captainality?
No, I have not been. All I've been told is it's an ongoing investigation. That's all I've been given.
Brian, when Everett had his incident, right away he was adamant that he was going to stay at Notre Dame and live through the process and come back. Are you confident that all 4 of these guys will want to stay at Notre Dame through this process?
I don't know that. I haven't got a chance to talk to them. They were called into, or they were brought into the process yesterday. So I haven't had the opportunity to actually confer and talk to them about where do we go. Now, again, I think I don't want to jump the gun here, right? I talked to Everett about his situation after he was dismissed from the university. We didn't talk about his situation until after that fact. So we're not there yet.
How do you make this normal for your team at this point, Brian?
Our players, obviously those are teammates, they're certainly, they care about their teammates just like I do. But they're competitors. They're wired to play football and play a team sport. And when it's time to play, they're going to play for their university. They're going to play for themselves. They're going to play for their families, and that's how they've done it their whole life. So I'm not that concerned really. There'll be the questions for a day or two, certainly about, okay, what are the implications here? But when those things are answered, they'll be ready to play football.
Brian, do you think it's fair to wonder, in light of the Golston situation and now this, that people look at this and say, is this a case of Notre Dame being more militant than other places in finding out and rooting out academic dishonesty, or is this a case of questioning whether these are examples of your recruiting players prone to this kind of poor judgment?
I'll answer. I think there's 2 questions there, right? I think in answering the first question, I knew coming to Notre Dame, and one of the reasons why I wanted to come here is that there are some core values as one of the preeminent Catholic institutions that you can't, you just can't compromise on, and that's integrity. And if you see that something is going on that's not right, and obviously through this investigation they found this out, it's important that it's addressed. And so I applaud the university for doing that. Now, along the way, I've lost a starting quarterback and some key players. But I came here because I wanted to be associated with a university that had those standards. And I'm disappointed. I'm saddened in a way for these young men because they're good kids. They've made some bad decisions along the way, and I'm not throwing these 4 in that category yet, obviously. But we can talk about Everett certainly in that situation. So that's how I feel about question 1. As it relates to the recruitment of the young men here, I think we've brought in the right young men. I think we have to continue to do a better job educating them. We have to do a better job of providing them the resources. Look, this is never a one-sided issue. We have to internally look at providing our student athletes all of the resources necessary that if in fact they took shortcuts, that they don't. And we have to look hard at that. And that's something that will ensue over this issue.
Coach, how does this affect your personal depth going forward? Obviously, 3 guys were kind of slotted to be starters.
Well, as players, you don't replace Kavari Russell. He's one of the best corners we've had here in quite some time. But we'll find a way. We'll rally, and now that means a next man in gets an opportunity. Cole Luke, Devin Butler, we're going to have to step into that role, and we're going to have to get them up to speed quickly. But you don't replace a guy like that. Daniels certainly has had his moments here, but we think we've got some depth at wide receiver. And he was an outstanding player. Kendall was coming along, but again, we're going to have to rely on other players to step up and do the job for us.
And are you worried at all just about this recent span of Everett and then what happened in Ohio and then DeVaris and then now this whole other batch of new guys here?
I don't know what happened in Ohio.
As far as, I can't remember the guy's name. Mahone getting into the incident. Just the amount of turmoil that you've kind of faced here in these last few months, is it worrisome as a coach?
Well, each situation is difficult, right? Each one that you have to deal with as a coach is difficult in itself, and each one of them has, challenges. But I rely on a great support staff here at the University of Notre Dame. I've got a great AD. I got people that I can lean on, for guidance and support to, make good decisions and help making sure that those things don't happen. But we're in the education business too. And I think Father John said it well yesterday about 18 to 21-year-olds, and mistakes are made. But we're going to hold them accountable at the end of the day. And so there is that educational piece in it. But there is also, for me, that I'm at a great place at Notre Dame, that I have great people that I can lean on too.
Coach, you mentioned the disappointment. Is part of it, does that go back to Everett? And there was an example of what can be taken away, and potentially 4 guys didn't learn from that example as well.
Certainly, if you walked into my locker room and you see what is in there and what we talk about every day, it would be just like a parent who talks about his kid not, driving while he's drinking while he's driving, or it's the same thing. It tears at you, because you're espousing these values on a day-to-day basis. And when mistakes are made, and again, I don't want to jump here. I want to be careful that we're not jumping to an indictment here of these 4 guys. Clearly, there was an investigation. Clearly, that the university and is not just shooting at the hip here. I don't want to make it sound that way either. But yeah, there's disappointment when you're creating that environment on a day-to-day basis. But again, I've been in this for now as a head coach and assistant coach, 28 years, and you have to stay on message and you have to keep continuously educating.
And for the team, I think I heard one of the players at the beginning in the huddle sort of shouting, like, show them what happens when we take a punch or something like that. What are you hoping the response is from the leadership on the team dealing with this situation?
I don't know what that reference was, but our kids at this age are resilient anyway. They have a resiliency. They want to play football for Notre Dame. They want to be successful. They know that they're going through some adversity, and so they have a tendency to want to pull together. So I expect our group to be affected by it, but they'll be stronger too.
And for the 4, what is the capacity that they're with you all, or what communication do you see having with them? We know they have access to the facilities, but what are they actually going to be doing in interaction possibly?
Well, they can eat with us. They just can't practice or playing games. It doesn't really make sense for them to be in meetings right now, so I'm not going to have them in meetings. but they're welcome to be in the Goog at any time and be around their teammates as they go through this process. So we'll welcome them here as they're going through this process.
And then just speaking specifically about Tavares, he's had an issue before, and you guys have addressed that already, but do you think he'll have higher scrutiny or a different type of investigation for him since he does have a background there?
Those decisions are out of my hands at this point. Once this investigation was launched, I become just a bystander in this whole matter.
And then finally, for me, you've never really truly had a smooth year here. You know, a few years of different things happening. The Declan Sullivan, a few arrests, and then Golson, and then a few other. What would you say to maybe fans out there or people that are looking at you as being a part of that and having to react to all of that?
This isn't the time to have a debate on what my, leadership or lack thereof is. My focus is on my football team and getting this team ready. There's a time and place for that. People have their opinions, and certainly they're entitled to them. I'm going to focus on this football team and getting them ready in 2 weeks for Rice.
Brian, have you been investigated or questioned or anything from these investigators? Have they sat down with you?
No.
Do you think they will, or is there any?
No.
Did any faculty members say anything to you today? There was faculty at the facility today.
No.
How looped in do you think you'll be able to be throughout the investigation as far as the players that might be involved?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear this.
How looped in will you be throughout the investigation with how it's proceeding and other players that might be involved and that sort of thing?
I'm sure Jack will alert me to, as he has, if there is any further information. He keeps me involved as information comes to him, but it'll strictly be informational.
Did those 4 players address the team at all yet? Or will
No.
we have a chance to?
I haven't even thought about that at this point.
And how did you address the team, or what was your message to them, I guess?
That's between me and the team.
Coach, I know these are guys that you've probably grown pretty fond of because they're upperclassmen at this point. When you first found out, how disheartened were you? What was your initial reaction? Were you shocked?
I think I already mentioned how I felt. I'm a parent, and this is an extended family for me. So it hurt, but I know the business that I'm in, and I've got young 18 to 21-year-olds, and we have to educate every day, and we're back at it today.
Father Jenkins addressed the possibility of vacating victories from the 2012 season. Obviously, it's far down the road, but
yeah.
What would that do to the way that you view the accomplishments of that season?
It wouldn't change in my eyes. I've never really counted my victories. It's not something that I really have spent much time thinking about. The satisfaction that I get is in the preparation and the relationships that I have with our players and the accomplishments that you have from year to year with your team and how you play the game. So never really put much stock in that.
And you said, obviously, it's so early in the investigation, you don't know things. You don't know a lot of facts that might be involved in being investigated. As a football coach, do you want to know? I mean, do you want to know what might have happened, or do you want to insulate yourself from that part of it?
No, I think when the investigation is complete, I'll want to know, everything. But it's too early for me, and I'm not involved in it right now. Obviously, there's a lot of very good people that are involved in it, but certainly anytime you have a situation that affects your program, you want to know all those things. But I think there'll be a time and place for that, and I'll want to be there in that room because there's always going to be, as I think I alluded to earlier, there's going to be areas that you're going to want to improve in.
You mentioned you haven't talked to investigators. Has there been any questions about, beyond the players involved who in the program knew about what was going on, or what knowledge or anything?
No.
Do you expect that there will be, or is it just isolated the players?
No, honestly, I was informed about this on Thursday, And that's all the information that I have. I wasn't given a scope. I wasn't given anything but your 4 players, and that's it. Anything else is what has, I guess, you guys have gotten through other sources of information. The only information I have is based upon the 4 players that were involved in this ongoing investigation.
Brian, you sort of with that many people on, with multiple players on the team involved, there would be a concern about whether or not the team or coaches or other people knew about it. Just wondering if that's been a concern or you expect it will be.
No. Again, if there was, we certainly would have been informed of that. So, again, I was given the information Thursday, and that's all the information that I was given.
Brian, just to be clear, you haven't been told any other players on the current team are under
No, I have not.
As you referenced, you've been doing this for 28 years in situations like this. How much of this falls on the head coach's desk? I mean, is it you're a CEO, you're overseeing 100 players, coaches, et cetera? I mean, what's your expectation for you knowing everything that goes on?
Well, you could. You have to create an environment for your players on a day-to-day basis that they know that you can't cut corners and that they're going to be held accountable on a day-to-day basis. That's the most important thing for me. So if you let your players do whatever they want and they feel like they're not accountable, then I don't think you should be a head coach. I think if you create an environment and you lay out the expectations of your program and they're not met, then they should be held accountable. And that's been the case every year I've been a head coach. So that's how I've lived my life. That's how I've coached in everything that I've done.
Brian, considering what the team's been through the last 24 hours, how did practice go today?
We had a good practice. Yeah, we worked on some goal line stuff for our defense today. They needed to get their goal line package in. I think I'd rather be in 5 wides down on the goal line because you guys like me to run it. So I just like to put 5 wides on the field, piss you guys off a little bit. No. We're in goal line today, so our defense needed some goal line work, and we got that accomplished today. We worked on some live special teams with our kicker today. That was our focus. In some specific situations. Minute 8 on the clock today, plus 40, some situational kind of offense and defense today. So we're past the installation, and we're now into some specific things. We're freezing the kicker, trying to do some specific things today. So it was pretty successful. Thanks.